Vo.Tino and welcome to our online nail art class. So today we're going to demonstrate this design right here, and everything that I use is at www.tinovo.shop. Now let's get ready. Okay, so for this design I'm gonna first start out with a nude, and the tip I'm gonna use pigment base to apply on a French tips. Then after that, I'm gonna put on super pigment onto that French to make this glowing ombre tip right here. So the nude that I put on have to be pigment free, because you don't want pigment when you apply on the tip to get stuck on here and then you have to end up and clean it later, and you don't want that. So in order for you to have a pigment free nude background, I am using top gels. So top gel meaning top coat. And as long as you put this on first, pigment would not stick onto this gel. So this gel is a pigment proof colors that I'm gonna apply right now. And when I apply on a clear crystal tips, I would like to apply 2 coats because it's see-through. But if you are painting on your client natural nail or acrylic nail, then you can just get away with 1 coat. Cure this. 60-second cure. This nail, I already have 2 coats done. Now, if you want to test first, you can take our pigment brush and use like a darkest color, like black. And you can apply it right on here. And then you can take the fluffy brush right here and dust it away, just to see. Now, when you know that it's non-stick, this is a time when you can start to design now. And I would need something that can apply pigment smoothly, not just stick to pigment, but it have to be smooth. So for that, I'm using pigment base. So I'm applying a small amount of pigment base onto the palette right here. I'm almost using the entire bottle, so I'm just gonna turn it upside down and wait for it to drip out. There you go. And usually at this point, this is when I get a semi-new bottle and I use for a little bit and then I pour the rest of this content in there. You can do that too. Or you can just keep pouring like this and use it until it's ran out. So this is pigment base. And pigment base is like a white gel polish, but it's very high cover in pigment. And the inhibition layer of this are dry. It's not no white. It's still sticky for pigment to be able to stick on, but it is dry sticky. So when pigment is on, it's not muddy, it's not cakey. It's very smooth when you apply. So that is what I'm gonna use. And for a French tips, I am gonna choose an appropriate brush for this. So what I'm gonna choose is an embossed brush. I first gonna start out by painting the frame of it. This point, you can use a liner brush first if you want. But then after when I color, I like to use the embossed brush because it's much thicker than the liners. So it's much faster and flatter when you apply and smoother. Okay, so I am gonna take this out and I'm gonna clean it first. I'm using my brush conditioning cleanser. And brush conditioning cleanser is a oil-based formula that is help condition your brush and add vitamin in your brush while you're cleaning your brush. And the oil formula of this cleanser is completely gel safe. So it doesn't tamper with your gel polish. It doesn't mess with your gel polish. So you can condition your brush and it's also safe with your gel at the same time. So this is a perfect cleanser for me to use. I would dip my brush into this container and roll it from side to side until the brush is thaw out. And then after it's thaw out, you want to see all the bristle are separate. Let me zoom in so you can see. See that? When it's all separate like this is when you know that your brush is not clocky. So now when you soak into your gel, it can be smoother when it's drip in and out your brush when you're painting. So I am taking a paper towel and clean my brush. Now I'm ready to draw. So as I say, if you want, you can start out with a 10mm liner first for the frame. I am gonna dip into this pigment base. And I'm gonna rock it from side to side. Just like this, rock it from side to side to completely saturate your brush. Then, because if you don't do that, then you might run out of gel when you're painting. So after you saturate it, this is when you can pour it out to make it nice and slim. Now, for beginner, for French tip, first I would like to mark the middle point first. So I know exactly where my middle is because I don't have a level eye. So if I were to turn around like this, sometimes it could seem my alignment could be a little off to the left or a little bit up to the right. So I mark it here. So I know exactly that this is the middle. Now I'm gonna start painting. So you can start first in one side. I always start from the left. Because if I start to draw from the right, then when, I always start to draw on the left because when I do it like this, from the right to the left, it's very difficult for me rather than from the left to the right like this. So this is my preferred angle. And I don't want to start up here and draw the line down to the curve like this. It's not my strongest points. So when it comes to French, you just have to establish what style are most comfortable for you. And this is my comfortable style. It starts from the middle like this. And curve all the way up. Okay, I like that. I like start right on the bottom and just slashing up like that. Now, I would like to tell my client to turn the hand over because, as I say, I'm very bad with drawing from the right to the left like this. You see, I have to change my hand angle, and I don't like that. So I tell my client, turn the hand over, so I can repeat the same pattern, starting from the left and go to the right, like this. You see that this second time, you need to go a little slower because this time you're not just drawing, but you're also aiming this side to see if it's equal to this side. If not, you have to stroke a few more times to make it equal, like that. Now, over here, I see my line is a little morph. You see it's not even. And at this point, I don't know if the line inside and outside are not even or just the inside. So right now it seems uneven for me. I'm not gonna fix it now. If you wanna fix the unevenness, you should go ahead and fill out this narrow passage first. So that way the nude part in here doesn't tamper with your eyes. Now when it's already filled, you can see more clearly. And it is a little uneven, so I'll go in and I will use my brush to smooth that out. So this is first key to notice when you're doing French tip. Now, after you smooth it out, you're not done. You have to go on this side and make sure that it's completely even with that side. See, I'm adding a little more just to make sure. And this surface are a slippery surface, so you need to move even more carefully because on a matte surface, then you have more traction when you paint. But on a slippery surface, it's just like walking on a slippery floor. You can swirl your brush very easy, so you have to be careful. Now, I am gonna start right in the middle and I'm gonna make a perfect curve. So I need to go slow. I'm pointing my brush at a 4 o'clock angle and I'm going down. And then I pointed my brush at a 3:30 o'clock angle and I'm going down. And then this is 3 o'clock, going right across. And then I have to check to see if equal to this side. Not quite. So now, again, pointing my brush at 3:30 o'clock right here. And I'm going slightly down. Now, pointing my brush at 3 o'clock angle over here. And going across. Now, it seems to be almost perfect. So, this is not the time to speed up, you guys. This is time to stay very still and worry about this micro detail like this. If you speed it up, most likely you're gonna be somewhat lopsided and you have to end up fixing it and keep fixing it until your French get really high. And you don't want that. So now I have a perfect even French. I'm gonna go ahead and use my emboss brush now. You see, this brush is not a liner brush. It's much thicker than a liner. So when you apply this, if you apply light pressure, then your line gonna be thinner when you go in this thin narrow passage right here between the nail bed and your client side where the skin is. So this is called a narrow passage. So I'm very careful when I go on here. But after I'm done with everything, then I stroke all the way down, straight down. See, and this brush, when you press, get very big for you to be able to cover a really large surface area. And because you're pressing down, your polish can be thinner than being having a bulky polish. See, it's very nice and thin. You're gonna cure this for 60 seconds, and you see how well covered this white gel polish is, because it's not an ordinary white gel polish. It's a gel polish for pigment, so it's very high covers. You only need one coat. You don't need 2 coats. Not like you couldn't, but you don't need that. I always use just 1 coat. Also, it's cell level very fast. As you see here, if you use a light above you and compare, it's very smooth. And you need it to be smooth for your pigment, because if your polish are streaky, then your pigment will be streaky too. So I'm gonna go ahead and cure this for 60 seconds. And over here, I have another nail. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same things on the other nails. Mark my middle line. Then paint it on one side. Turn the hand over, paint it on another side. And then take care of the bottom. And remember, you can use the clockwise rule, as in pointing at 6 o'clock, pointing at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 12. So you can use that system if you're the type that need help when it comes to something like that. So I am going and fill in both narrow passage. Just like this. And then now I can go ahead and stroke it all the way down. And of course, I like to wait a little bit so it can cell level really good. It's help if you do more than 1 nails. Okay, after all this done, I have a hair right here. Let me get it out. Okay. And after it's smooth, you can put it into the machine, cure for 60 seconds. This one is already out. And if you were to do a client nail, it's important if you measure your nail bed first to make sure that they're somewhat similar. But for this lesson, we don't have to. Now we're gonna go ahead and cure this part. And it's time to take out our pigments. And remember our test earlier that we put pigment onto this nude, it doesn't stick. It's very important for you to make sure that that happens. If not, it's gonna be a big mess. If this is sticky, if it like a normal gel polish, and pigments will stick onto it, and pigment not necessarily will stick evenly on a normal gel polish, but it will stick on a gel polish. And if you have this stick on gel polish, this stick on gel polish too, both gel polish will stick to pigment, then this part will be impossible to accomplish. And if you want to cleanse this, like if it stick on your nude and you're gonna cleanse this, this is not worth your time at all. It's gonna take a very, very long time for that to happen. So we already have our layer layout. That is take knowledge on layer. This one non-stick, this one stick, and the sticky layer is dry. So pigment gonna be very smooth like this surface. So I just want you to understand those layers for you to be able to accomplish the nice blend pigment background that you want. So I'm gonna take out my pigment now. This is my primary press pigment set, and primary press are not neon. All the color in here are primary, and it's not subtle neither, but it's very pure. It's not neon. Neon for me is not a pure color. Neon for me is a color that they use electricity to make it really, really bright to what is fluorescent. But this is the basic color that what you need, and you can blend these together too, like red, blue, and yellow right here. All three are here. All the nude are here, and we have a few subtle blush color and black. It's my most preferable pigment because I always want to start out with depth. So I'm gonna put my nail over here, and I need to cover my surface with a paper towel. So I'm gonna have that on. I use Viva paper towels, and I'm gonna use a pigment brush. This is my pigment brush, and it's built for gliding, not too vertical blend like this, but you can glide with this. And I'm gonna take it out. I already have a little black pigment on it, so that's good. I'm gonna take some more black pigment. I'm gonna put my brush in and rub from side to side like this. See how I rock it from side to side like this? You can also swipe it like this. And you're gonna put it on to the paper towel surface. And I like to rock it from side to side just to smudge it in. Before I like to swipe it like this, but now what I prefer is to rock it from side to side like that. And I find that this helps smudging the color onto my brush stroke better. And then after that, I always like to knock off my excess pigment. See, I just have this container with some extra pigment residue here. I can knock it off like this. Or if you want, you can take an extra paper towels and cover the surface like this while you knock it off, so dust doesn't fly everywhere on your client and so now after you knock off all excess dust, you have color on your brush but not loose dust, so you can go in and you can start blending. And what I like is to start around right on the French line and right at the free edge, and it's gonna go a little bit down to the side, but just a tiny bit, because they're gonna be more than one color. They're gonna be black, brown, and light brown. So let's start with this. Going around the French line, you see how you apply? No loose dust. All the way across. And you see the pigment are sparing the nude. So now it's formed a beautiful line. Gonna keep taking extra pigment if you need extra pigment and apply on just like this. See how beautiful it turned out? That is the art of separation. If you successfully using product to separate it, then now you have a beautiful French. And no one, if they don't know the step, they wouldn't know how you did it. So that is what Vo.Tino product are made. It's made to for you to maneuver all these difficult layers. Now it become easier. It's just step by step. So now, after you blend these, I usually, if I'm done, I will clean this and I will get another color and keep on going. But when I work on client, then I like to do all the nail on one color first, and then I clean it all at once, and then I move on to different colors. Take more pigment if you want, and brush it too. Now, I will explain my brushing pattern again. This is a surface. Then you start from the air, you go down, you run, and then you glide up. So this is a blending pattern. And Remember, do not do a smashing pattern. A smashing pattern is from here, you go down and you stop. And you go back up and you go down, you stop. You're not blending, you're smashing it on the surface. And that's not gonna give you a nice blend. So when you first start it, don't go really fast like me. Go on 1, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Make sure that it's perfect. And then when you don't see any streak, you know that your stroke are nice and smooth. Then you can start picking up your speed one by one and go really fast. And after you've done that for a couple months, then you no longer need to start out slow. You go in with confidence. But when you first started out with pigment, do not dive in like I do, where you go really fast. You have to make sure that everything is correct first before you pick up the speed. And then turn my hand down and color in the tips. And if you have a heavy hand, then you need to take your brush and go over the paper towel to wipe up extra pigment. So now your surface doesn't have a lot of pigment, so now you can blend easier. So that is a tip for people with heavy hand. Then I'm gonna clean my brush now. So I need a brush like this, and I just rubbing it on a paper towel like that. You can do that like that, or this is also another thing that you can do. You can take out an empty containers and apply some acetone in, and then you can soak it in like this. Just dip it in and take your towel and cleanse it. Don't squish your brush into this container because you're gonna contaminate it. So just dip it in acetone and then clean with your brush. You can do that, but you see, if you do that, then it's healthier if you have 2 different brushes. Like me, I have another brush. So this brush right here will take about 1 minute for acetone to completely evaporate away, 1 or 2 minutes. So meanwhile, I'm taking a new brush. I'm gonna start my process while I'm waiting. And put this back into my brush holders. Just like that. Okay, so this brush is obviously already been cleaned previously. So what I like to do, and I actually want to use this, because when you cleanse it with acetone and when you leave it there, it's gonna dry, but the bristle gonna be a little stiff. The reason why it's stiff, because you still have a little bit of pigment in your brush while you're cleansing, right? So when you cleanse, what happens is some of the pigment, it going to soak in the acetone like flour. And when it's soaked in acetone, it's gonna stiffen up. Like, you know, when you soak flour into water and then you have dough, it's like that. So these pigment that trap into the brush, it mix it with a liquid of acetone, so it's stiffen up, so it make your brush a little stiff. So before you start using another color pigment, you need to take your finger and go like this, so you can break those stiffness apart. So now your brush is nice and smooth, and it needs to be nice and smooth like this for you to play with pigment well. So now I am gonna take out a darker brown. Let's use this and apply it right on here, just like that. And I am gonna rock it from side to side. And I like to do this. This is my new thing to do. Before, I like to do this. I find it less effective to completely ingrain the color into the brush bristle. So now I like to rock it from side to side, and it's not kicking pigment everywhere. It's very neat. And now my bristle have colors. This is when I knock off excess dust. And I go up here, and if you want, you see some of the extra pigment on the nude, you can just use your brush to dust it through first before you start. Now, going in with these dark brown colors. Same in the bottom too. And I would like to blend it to the sides a little bit, so the white, it look like a circle. So I tilt in my brush and blend as an angle like this. And remember, if you have trouble with blending, remember to take your brush and run through the paper towel a few times so your brush doesn't have a lot of pigment so you can blend easier. So now it's nice and even. I'm gonna start with this now, doing the same thing. Take a little bit of pigment, rock it in, rocking from side to side, then knock up excess dust and then start blending. And remember to obey all the steps for you to have a nicer result. As you can see, I always knock up excess dust. If you don't, it's gonna be very messy, I promise you. Dust gonna shoot out everywhere. That's why sometimes people can be intimidated with pigment, even though it's so easy to use and it brings such amazing blend effect. Sometimes people are intimidated by it because they don't memorize all the steps. So when you don't memorize all the steps, it's very messy. See, I have a little bit of dust stick on here, so make sure that you're very careful when you're doing this. So, again, I am cleansing my brush. And another way you can cleanse it, if you don't have two different pigment brush, you can do it like this until there's no more pigment left. But sometimes when you use like a strong black color, then it's difficult to remove it completely. So it's important for you to know both ways, just in case. You can choose which way you want to perform. So I'm cleansing my brush. And then I'm going to put it back into my brush holder. And then I'm taking the new one out. It's already dry by now. Again, remember, it's going to be a little stiff because of the powder. Mix it with acetone. It's okay. It's stiff, but it's not going to be like, you know, whenever you have like gel stuck in your brush or acrylic stuck in your brush and it's impossible to take it out without soaking it, it's not the same thing. Because pigment, this pigment doesn't have any gel or acrylic. It's raw, it's raw color. So it's raw pigment, so it doesn't have any bonding agent. So the pigment that are making your brush stiff, you should break it apart and it'll come apart right there. That's it. Just because it doesn't have any bonding agent in the pigment. So now, I am going to pick out another colors. So let's use these colors. This is like a medium brown. I'm going to take it. I'm going to apply it right onto the palette. And again, I always like to smudge it like this. See, rock it from side to side. It's very effective for me. And remember, every year I like to update my technique to make it easier and easier. And then knock out pigments. See, the loose dust will go away and the color will remain because you rock it from side to side. So the color is embedded into your brush bristle. Why anything that are not stuck in your brush bristle is go away. So it's not messy when you apply colors. And you keep on going. Another color, see right now, it's starting to look really nice and smooth. And you still have another colors, a really light color to apply. Look at this color blend. Doing this one too. Okay. And now I am gonna go back with the lighter colors. Put this in here and remove these extra colors and then get out the other brush. It's already dry. Again, break out pigments and then go in here. Let's choose a medium nude like this. Smudge it in, knock up excess dust. Let me see. Smudge it in here, actually. Right here. Okay. And knock off excess dust. Okay. What I discover is that when I go in here, it scratches my pigment a little bit. So whenever that happens, I stop immediately and I go in and I make sure that I dry with a paper towel because acetone might still be in there. That's why this phenomenon happen. Or some acetone might be dripping down here where I put my pigment, and that might cause it. So I'm gonna go in and make sure that it's really, really dry and make sure that I smudge out everything. And then I'm gonna go back and take this. And if you want, you can change the paper towels. Let me put it up here and do it again to see. Let me start out with a new one just to see. Okay, this one's fine. Okay, so just a little wetness going on there. Okay. Okay. Let me zoom out. Now, the last color gonna be the lightest color that I use. I'm gonna clean this first. Oh, I know why. Okay, the reason why my brush was scratchy is because I have used the wrong formulas. You see, I didn't close this, and these are not acetone, it's actually oil. So when I use oil, it doesn't evaporate away, so that's not good. So now I'm gonna go back and use acetone to clean this. And it's good that you guys see it too, because if you mistake dipping this brush in oil, you have to go and make sure that it's really, really clean. And let me clean the other brush too, because I might dip the other brush in oil also. I don't see any residue, but I'm gonna clean it just to make sure. So if something similar happened like that, make sure you stop and examine what's go wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna clean my brush twice just to make sure that all the oil go away completely. Good thing is that I cleaned it very carefully, so there's not a lot of oil. That's just like a tiny bit of oil, so it doesn't tamper with my pigment too much. Okay, I would like to let it dry just for a little bit before I start going in with another colors. And it's important that I replane this pigment sheet because it contaminated with oil already, and you want your surface to be completely dry when you're doing this. Take our new one, clean this too, make sure everything's clean. Replay with some acetone. Going back to here, check it to see if it dry first. Yeah, I have mistaken and put oil into it. Okay, make sure it's completely dry. Okay, now let's continue with this color. Smudge it onto the paper towels. And then knock up excess dust. Oh, I can feel it. It's amazing now. Oh, good. It was unexpected because I was like, this doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? It's scratching. It keeps scratching my pigment. So I like, what is going on? And I'm so glad I found out because look at the difference. The amazing. And I'm so glad I found out for you guys to see it because I have been dipping in this oil container. You know what I mean? It will never fix the issue. It will take the color away, but the oil don't evaporate like acetone. So when you apply it on, it's like you're smudging your pigment on purpose. So you don't want that. Okay, doing this one too. Oh, so much better, yes. So remember, be very careful of everything around you. Even when I do this for a long time, sometimes I don't pay attention. Like when I'm teaching, I don't really pay attention to the container that I'm using. And sometimes I use the wrong containers. And when you use the wrong material, this happens. And that's why when people say, let's say if I use pigment base, and they say, what if I don't have pigment base? I don't have the correct answer for it. Because without the right material, disaster will happen. So make sure that you use the correct element for your design, so you don't caught unexpected with troubleshooting an error. Okay, now dip this in and clean this. Make sure it's acetone this time. Okay. So after I cleanse it, I put it up and use this one. Make sure that this is nice and dry too. You can do this, rocking from side to side, just to make sure if there any oil in there is going away. The lighter colors, this one is a cream color, or you can use this color too. It's the same shade. I mean, it's the same tone. It's just a different shade. It's like a blush shade versus it is a cream shade. However you like. Knock off excess dust and go in and color everything. Okay. And I will zoom in for you to see the different, because these are different. See, this is the nail what I have a little trouble with the oil and such. So you can see the quality is way different than this nail. See, this nail I get more careful. So now it's all nice and smooth. So remember, be very careful of every single step that you choose. Now, I am going to take a dust and completely dust in this. Now, what I want you to see is some of the color on here. You see that some color on here, and it is from the black pigment that we use. Now, that doesn't mean that the color stick on to this surface because it's non-stick. Because if it stick on, it's gonna be very deep. It's gonna be like black like this. It's not gonna be a faint shade of color. So what this is it is stain. And sometimes your pigment can be way too strong that it can stand the surface. And whenever that happens, don't panic. You take out a paper towel like this, and you just clean it away like that. Or you can take a shadow applicator, so it can be neater, and you just wipe it away, and it will go away because it's not sticking to the surface. It just is very strong, so it's trying to grab onto the surface, but the moment you apply the shadow applicator on, it's wipe it completely away, just like this. Now, you see this dot right here. What this dot is a piece of dirt that trapped on the surface while I'm applying the nude. So now, the piece of dirt, it caught all the pigment, so I can just either take my fingernail and scrape it, or I can take a little bit of acetone, put it on a paper towels, and I can go in and wipe it away. Let me take our clean paper towel, go in and wipe it away. And you can also wipe the rest of the nail away to make sure that the other strands are completely going away. Just like that. And you can also use a nail brush too, whichever you like. Over here, even though I don't see anything, I'm still gonna wipe over it just to see. If you see a slight difference, that means that a little bit of pigment still standing in the surface, you just couldn't see it. That is if you use a really strong color like black pigments. Now, I'm gonna clean this. We are done with our pigment journey. So a lot of information in there for you to examine later on. Okay, now I'm gonna put my brush back, and we're gonna talk about the rest of the design. So we have two things going on here. We have the crane that we have to paint, and we have the gold chrome. So for the gold chrome to be on and spare the background, then I need to use Teflon matte to apply, because when I apply on Teflon matte, then chrome would not stick on this background at all. So at that point, I can start drawing whatever I like and rub chrome on, and the chrome will only stick onto the design. But if I were to apply Teflon matte right now, and then go ahead and do my chrome design, and then paint it my crane, then what happens after that is I have to apply another layers of top coat, which is a matte top coat. So that's not a very wise choice to take. So what I am doing is I'm painting the crane first. I like to paint the crane first, and then I will Teflon matte everything. And then after that, when I do the chrome design, I might be able to go in there and just top coat the chrome design only. And that will save me one extra top coat. So we can do it like that. However, if you are a beginner and if you feel insecure about your design and you feel like you're gonna make mistake, then I will recommend to put on top coat first to make sure that these are nice and sealed. So when you go in and you make mistake, you can wipe it up without wiping up the pigment that you already have on here. So I'm gonna start painting the crane, and I will choose these nails, the pretty one. Then for the crane painting, I need colors, and I need color that are built very opaque. So when I paint, I don't need a thick coat. I only need a thin coat. So with that, I like to use one stroke liner, because one stroke liner are very opaque. So I'm gonna use that. That is like acrylic paint that we used back in the old day. I'm using white, black, red, and nude and brown. I'm gonna take the lid out on all of it, taking the black out, apply onto a palette. I'm gonna take this palette out. We're done with pigment, so let's put our pigment back. Okay. The acetone, I am putting the lid on so it don't evaporate. And the oil for cleaning the brush, I'm leaving the lid out because it doesn't evaporate. And then I need my engraver and mixers. I'm gonna take this and put it out on a palette. Make sure I have a paper towel on my left hand. Now, I am gonna take out, put it on a palette, clean my tool, clone the brush, clone the liner, take out white, distribute it. Clean my tool. I'm just wiping it. Then red, take it out, distribute it. And if you see a little bit of liquid on here, make sure that you stir it out just so it's mixed evenly, and then you can distribute it. Sometimes when you don't use a color for a while, it can cause a slight separation, and you can just mix it back. That will ensure that everything will go well for you. Close this, and I will take our nude. Same thing, I will distribute it out on a palette. Close this, and wipe it with a paper towels. And I would like to take out brown, same things. Distribute it on the paper towels. Close the lid. Alright, so now you have all your color out, let's start painting. So the first color that I will paint is white, and this is not line. I'm gonna fill in the body first. I'm gonna fill in the neck. So when I do that, I like to use a thicker brush, like an emboss brush. So I'm cleaning the gel that I have on the surface, wipe it on the paper towels. You can even dip into your conditioning cleanser and wipe up the excess oil and then start painting. Let's put a crane right here for us to see. Okay, so let's start out with the body. I would like to paint this one right here. So I'm gonna start first painting an oval. Okay, now when you go in, you don't just go in. You have to be aware of its proportion. You see, if you just go in, you might not have room for the neck. You might not have room for the legs. So you have to examine this design right here. You see the body is smack right in the middle. Leave room for the neck. Leave room for the leg, which is the same length, right? So now I'm gonna be aware of my body. The wing gonna be over here. So you need something on the left. The wing gonna scatter out right here on the right. You need something on the right. The body need to be smacked right in the middle. So let's start. Start right here. See, leave room for the wings. I'm gonna go down. Leave room for the wing on the left. Painting an oval, just like this. Okay. Now, after you already paint your oval, you're gonna go ahead and draw the neck. Now, the neck might look like it's really twisty, but that is a black and the white together. Now, with just a white, it's just gonna be like an umbrella. Like this shape right here, just like that. Okay, so I'm gonna do that for the neck. Gonna go on here. Start right here. Going down. That's it. Okay. And then there's this little bulge right at the bottom, so I'm just gonna add a little bulge for it. Right here. And then I can adjust the body just a little bit. Okay, so now I would like to draw out the mouth. So when it comes to something that are nice and thin, I like to switch brush. I'm gonna use 10mm liners. And let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay, let's draw the mouth. So you start right here and you go straight out. Okay. And then you start right up here and you, let me go ahead and paint it on here so you can see. Let's say this is a head and you start to go out like that, one line. So now what you do is you start up here and you're going out, but not all the way to the point, just right to the middle, and then you're gonna blend in with the mouth. So you start from here, you go right to the middle and you just blend in with the mouth. Like that, not all the way out, because if you go all the way out, it becomes like this. And there is a common problem for beginner is that they're not aware of where they're going. So now it's like a pelican, and you don't want that. So now I'm gonna do the same thing with this, and it's tiny details, but I already explained for you in a much bigger scale. So now I'm confident that you will be aware of this. Okay, now I would like to go down here for the legs if you want, because the leg is a much darker color. If you're not ready, you can save it for later. But what I want to do is I want to take this bottom part and I want to go out just a little bit like a funnel, just getting ready for the legs. This is like a tie of the bird. You see this part? What? It's like a tie before the leg coming into. So we have to stop and cure first. But before we do that, we need to examine where else do we need white, because we don't want to keep doing it over and over and cure and then keep adding. So we're gonna see I see a little white right here for the wing. I see a little white right here for the wings. And when you look at an actual picture, if you want to be able to dissect your design, knowing that this is not white, it's like a brown color in the background, know that you should have white first because you're going to use a shading gel to add in the shade. So make sure that you understand your material and layer so you can dissect a design. If it's not a nail art, if it's like a pictures, you can easily dissect it to mimic the design. So I'm going to go in with the wings, just like that. Go down here with the wing on this side. And again, if you want to adjust the body of the crane to make it a little bigger, you can at this point. When everything is been drawn in, the wings and everything else drawn in, you can adjust the body a little bit. So now here, now, I like to clean my brush. I wipe it with a paper towels and then I go in, clean excess gels. Make sure the brush is clean. Now, next color I would like to use is black. So, for this, these are tiny little details. It fits right into the neck. So, for me to perform everything fluidly and smoothly, I need to switch to a much smaller brush. A 7mm details that I use is like a needle and is my favorite when it comes to detail because it keeps me very safe. I'm gonna take this out and start to soak the brush in to the black one-stroke liner, rocking from side to side to make sure all the gel is immersed into the brush, and I'm gonna go ahead and stroke it out like this. Now, let's draw. I like to start out with the head. So, right here, you can see this is where the eye is. So, typically, when I first beginning to start painting, I will feel the need to avoid this white part that already here. For the eye, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to paint everything black. And then I'm going to just go in and draw the eye with white gel polish or white gel paint. So that step is much easier for me than trying to avoid in the white part. So I'm going here and painting black onto the head. Drawing like a circle right here. Now, then I am going down. And then I'm gonna trace this down and curve right in. See, I spare a little bit of white right here. And then I would like to take this black part and drag it out just a little bit to make the transition seamless. There you go. Just depend on how detail oriented you are. Now, for the wings, I like to draw the wing now, and I like to use a different brush. I like to use actually, you know what? I might use the same brush. Let's continue using the 7mm details because what I need is this. Something big at the bottom and it go out pointy. Like this. Something big at the bottom is going out pointy. I plan to use an embossed brush because the embossed brush, I can press it out so it's really thick and then I can slowly reduce my pressure until it's really thin. But this thin part, I have to really pay attention to make sure that my pressure is really light so it's really pointy. But I decided to stay with the 7mm detail because the pointy part will be easier. Now I'm not going to be able to press it out too much. It's going to be thinner than this. But when I go down, it's easier for me to make it pointy. So I can do it twice. I can start out on this side and I can go in like this. So unlike the embossed brush where I just do it once, with the 7mm detail, I have to do it twice. but it's easier for me. So choose your brush depending on what you're comfortable with. And now, go ahead and paint in your wings. Oh, and with the smaller crayon, I actually don't need to do it twice. I only need to do it once because the picture is so small. Now, when it comes to stroking up like this, can you charge me? Can you charge me? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so when it comes to stroking up like this, it's very awkward for me. See my hand angle? It's incredibly awkward, and I don't want that. I don't want to be awkward when I'm drawing. So I turn it down or turn my hand around, and that is when I can paint it down. It's much easier that way. Okay, so now I have that. I'm gonna clean my brush. And before I cure this, let's go ahead and cure this. I am going to go in and take some white so I can fill in the eye. I like to do the eyes as soon as possible so I can see the bird. Because right now it just looks like a white blob and I would like to see it so I can visualize it while I'm painting. So go in with white like this. Cure this. So now I can see a little bit. I like to clean my brush again. Go in with black to draw the eyeball. And I will zoom in so you can see. Cure this. And if you're obsessed with details, then what you can do is again taking white and you want to add in a tiny little dot right inside the black you might not be able to see. Let me go ahead and zoom in so you can see. There you go. See that? Just a tiny bit. This is where the 7mm detail come into important. Look at this eye. Now it looks like it's staring at you. Go ahead and cure. So now what we want to do is we want to start painting the wing scale right here using brown and nude. If you don't want the brown to be too dark, then you can use nude. But we're going to go ahead and paint the scale of this wing. And then we're going to start shading. And remember to stay very patient while you're going through this process if you are a beginner. A beginner can be very easily be distracted by the process. If they see this, they're going to be like, oh my God, it is so ugly. I should start all over. So remember, for beginner, you have to know your process and know your layers. Because now we're going to go in with brown. And I have nude just in case if you want to mix this a little bit into the brown so it's not too dark. Up to you. And using nude alone, it will be too light. So I'm gonna go in to this part and draw one curve. I'm drawing another curve right on top. Okay. Like a bow pattern. Now I'm gonna draw the scale, and for the scale, I am gonna zoom in really close so you can see. And start going 1, 2, 3 times. Very lightly with the tip of my brush. This is where pressure matters. Because if you apply too much pressure, then you're no longer drawing with the tip of your brush. You are now drawing with the whole body of your brush. And you don't want that. And when you zoom in, you might see that it might not be perfect. You know, there might be a place that are too dark, a place that are too thin. So remember that this is zoom in. A human eye not gonna see this close. When you zoom out, you see how perfect it is. So make sure don't get distracted. Again, do not get distracted by your patterns. Now, I would like to outline the mouth like this one. But before I do that, I need to mix because I don't want to use black. That'll be too dark. I don't want to use brown. That'll be too light. I like to mix brown into my black so I can make a dark brown. Then I can go in for the mouth. Now you can switch to a 10mm liner if you like when it comes to long line. But these are small pictures, so I don't need to switch brush. I can keep on this brush and I can go in and make sure this is where all your practice on pressure coming in, because you need to be very light. And don't talk while you're doing it because you don't want your neck and shoulder to move. Just like that. So you see all this step is not necessarily, this design not necessary is a design that you can make quick money at salon. But this is a design that when you practice, it can train you to be a phenomenal nail artist. Now, you're gonna go ahead and worry about the legs before you cure everything. Because the reason is, if the reason why I cure this white before I jump into this black, because I have to overlap it. So I don't want it to be wet. But the leg doesn't touch the mouth, you see? So now I can, before I cure, I can also do this step, then cure it all at once. I like to mix the white into this brown black concoction that I just made. For the legs, I like to go slanted at 5 o'clock angle and then slanted again at 7 o'clock angle for the leg, for the first leg. Now the second legs, I like to again slant it at 4 o'clock angle. And then I will go in at 7:30 or 8 o'clock angle right here for this second legs. Then again, I'm gonna clean my brush and I am gonna take red and top on just a little head of the crane like this. There. So now it's have a little thing on its head. Now clean this, and I would like to start right here and add some white for the back of his head. Now you can see the resemblance. See that? Make sure don't get distracted by the process. Now, I would like to take a little bit of brown and I like to add a separation in this between the wing and the body. Remember, take it step by step so you can make sure you can accomplish an amazing design. And there is a little mistake right here where the wing is going too deep in the body. You can take white and go over it just like this. Now you can cure everything. All right, let it cure. I would like to clean my station just a little bit with some acetone. Go ahead and clean this. If you don't do anything, if you have to do something, then you save it for later. But I like to clean, keep it nice and neat for me, so it can keep my mind clear. All right, so now we're gonna go back and we're gonna examine it. The leg needs a little darker detail, so I'm gonna go in with black. That is very, very detailed. And then the body needs a little shading, so that I use shading gel. So I'm gonna do the easiest first. let's take our shade gel. I have 5 different tones for shading. This is when you do portrait and such. You can use this shade for skin tone. It is not black because our skin tone is nude. So I like to create this color for shading instead of using a black color, which look more artificial. So that is shade. Now, I like to take this out and start shading right away. And for shading, I like to use my 5mm blender for me to shade. So this is a very small brush for blending and shading on small detail. Very useful when you draw faces and portrait. Now, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start out with the body first. This narrow passage right here, I'm gonna go down all the way to the legs. And I like to use a flash clear light. You see a flash clear light? Okay, I'm gonna use a flash clear light just to flash it a little bit. And I can continue. Now I'm gonna start right here, add a little shade. And then just blend it up. It's very easy to blend. It's a gel that built for shading, so it's very easy. See that? I don't need to even use an ombre brush. With my blender, I can blend at the same time. Same with the wing. You add a little bit in. If you want to blend, you can clean your brush off the palette like this. And then when the amount of gel is reduced on your brush, you can go in and twirl a little bit at the edge. And that will just blend it out for you. Here. Alright. Now, you can go ahead and cure this for, it don't have to be 60 seconds because this gel is see-through. You can just cure it for 10 seconds and then continue with your work. You can take black and mix it with just a little bit of white to make like a dark gray colors. We're gonna go in and detail the legs. So with this, I feel like I need the 7mm detail to accomplish this tiny micro detail right here. Okay, now let's draw the legs. Going all the way in. Okay, so now I am gonna go ahead and do the back leg first. Or you can do the front leg first, depend. Know that these front leg are crossing over the back leg. So I'm painting one line first. This is very tiny too, you guys. And painting another line right here. Now, I'm gonna take this brush and use just the tip of my brush and just lightly touch. Since it's so small, you don't need to actually draw. You just touch a little bit like this and it will make a line for you. Remember, this little detail is not important and you don't have to include it in there, but it will make the design more beautiful and it will train you. And the reason why I choose this design for you is for you to start training your hand and your knowledge on line work to start to absorb it. And if you want to push it one step further, you can take a lighter polish like this. Really, really light. In fact, I'm gonna use white just for you to see it easier. But I can go in further and start going in the middle of all the black line. Again, totally unnecessary, but incredibly useful to train for you to become
an awesome nail artist that doesn't afraid of anything. See, if you do this before, then when it comes to doing that, you wouldn't be shocked. You'd be like, oh, I already did that before. But if you haven't trained something like this, so when the time comes, because one day the time will come for you to have to accomplish something like this, because art will keep getting better and better. And when that day comes, if you haven't done something like this, you will be intimidated by it. So make sure you dive right into it so you can get familiar with the art of detailing. Now zoom it out. See how beautiful it is? Then you can go ahead and cure. Okay. You cure that for 60 seconds. And then now we're going to go back and examine it again. You see here, the only thing that are missing here are the chrome detail. And you see these little white embossed detail right here. That is from my white texture gels. And that go after the top coat, not before the top coat, because this gel doesn't need any top coat. So it will make the painting look more realistic and more touchable. So we are done with painting. We're gonna apply Teflon matte on and start chroming right away and then add in details. So while we're waiting, I'm gonna jump over this now and do some cloud and some tree for you. Very easy. I am going to go with a 10mm liner or emboss brush. It's up to you. Okay. Let's gonna go in with black first with an emboss brush and paint it some tree branch. And feel free to switch to a 10mm liner when you're drawing something smaller and more intricate like this. And then feel free to do some leaf. So I can use a 7mm details for my leaf, like this. So that is a usage of different brushes. Now, let's draw some cloud. So when it comes to cloud, I like to use a round pointer, a really big brush, dip it in, and apply right on here for some cloud. And I like to clean my brush. Using a clean brush, I'm tapping the edge just to blend it out a little bit. I can go ahead and cure, and you can flash cure it if you like, and take out a highlight gels. This is something that I love to use when it comes to cloud. So I'm putting it down for the highlight gel. Now I'm gonna go in and fill the cloud up. Again, same motion. I'm gonna clean my brush and go in and tap the edge just to make sure you blend that out. Now it's beautiful here. And then you can repeat that whole process again for another cloud that overlap it like this. You can go in right under here, and you can see it's more profound than the top one because the top one is not solid white, it's blending. So I can go in right here and then clean your brush. Then you tap the edge with the clean brush. Then you cure, flash cure. Then you take out highlight gels. Highlight gel is a gel used for shading, but the lighter part of the object, not the darker part. It's the opposite of the shade gels. Okay, apply highlight gel here and clean your brush with a paper towels and then tap into the edge to blend out that highlight gel. And now you have cloud. Cure this. So we are ready to put Teflon matte on both nails. And you can clean this if you like. we're done with painting. So how I clean this is I like to put this down here, and I like to use a clean paper towel, and I like to wipe it completely over like this, just to wipe up any excess gel on the surface. You might still have a little bit of residue on, but you just dry clean this. This is what I call dry clean. Take it out and dry clean this one too. So now the gel is gone. We just go in with acetone to clean the residue. Nice and clean, no mess. See, nice and clean, no mess. Now the paper towel here, you take it out and your table is nice and clean. So that's how I cleaned it up. And take out 2 nails. Put it down here. All right. Now what I'm gonna do is take out my Teflon mat. Now, this mat are very special. And be careful when I explain for people that Teflon mat is chrome proof. A lot of people pay attention to just mat and not the pot Teflon. And please do know that chrome will stick on everything, including mat. It will stick on all type of mat. But Teflon are made specifically for detail like this, where you need to block chrome entirely. I'm applying 1 coat of Teflon mat on here to the surface. Going down. Cure this. 60-second cure. Same with these fingers, going down. Cure. 60-second cure on that. Now, after the Teflon mat is on, we're gonna talk about a material that used to stick on chrome. So this Teflon mat right here are non-stick to chrome. Okay. So the next thing that I would use to apply chrome, there's many different things. For this line, I like to use metal effect gels. You can use black or white metal effect gel. It's up to you. If you choose black, make sure you don't apply too thick, because you want it to cure correctly, because this black metal effect gel are very opaque. If you use white, you can be a little less careful, because white pigment are very easily to cure, better than black pigment. So it's up to you. I like to use black metal effect for this one. Now for detail like this, it's really thick. You can use texture gel. Texture gel, you can use black texture gel or clear texture gel. It's up to you. But these gel are not for painting. It's for emboss. Emboss meaning really thick design. Unlike painting where your line needs to be nice and thin. So we're gonna use few of those material to dress up this design right here for the crane. First, let's use metal effect gel for the chrome first. Take this out. Apply on a palette. Clean with the paper towels. Close the lid. And the brush I will use will be a 10mm liner brush. Now take that, clean whatever is on your brush. Make sure you don't have just any black gel, then your chrome not gonna be nice and shiny. I am using metal effect gel, and metal effect gel will ensure that your chrome are really nice and shiny. So take that, and I'm gonna draw 1 French tips right up here. Very slowly when you approaching the curve. When you go up here, you can go a little faster. Make sure that anytime that you have little curve like this, you go slow. Just like driving. If you are driving 90 miles per hour, you can only drive on the highway where you drive in straight line. But when you turn into parking lot, you have to go really slow or else you cause an accident. Same rule can apply when it comes to painting. Okay, after I'm satisfied with my details, I can go ahead and cure this. Or I can also apply a little more details. Like if I want some tree trunk right here, I can take out clear texture gel now. And I'm gonna wipe off the brush. Use an emboss brush for this. Using my brush conditioning cleanser. Clean this. And then use some clear texture gels. And go really big right here. Apply it on. Just like that. If that is what you want. You can go a little bit up here too. You can start going tracing on the tree trunk. Just like that. Like that. All up to you. Now, here. So, after you take it out, you're gonna start chroming this. And chrome will only stick on to the design that you just put on. Let's use bronze chrome, one of my favorites. And of course, in the picture is gold chrome, so I can show you the difference. And you will take out a shadow applicators for chrome. And I also would like to take out a silicone tool. Make sure everything is nice and clean. Okay, make sure everything is clean. I have some comb stain right here, but that's fine. Now, I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna start chroming this. Oh, and I would like some metal effect gel on the frame on here too. I forgot to paint the frame on. You can chrome right now and paint the frame later, or you can paint the frame now. Up to you. And then keep curing it. And I would like to make the line just a little thicker. Just to match the other nails. Okay, now I'm gonna cure that. Now let's chrome this. So Teflon mat is already clear. And you already draw the design on here. So now you're taking this and you apply right on the surface. Then you can dust the dust off just to see how Teflon mat keep everything comb free and just the design. That is one useful product when it comes to chrome design. Now, I would like to take out a clean silicone tool. You can drop a little bit of chrome in here if you like. But I like to go back with a silicone tool. It's very hard to use a silicone tool to apply chrome. But after you apply chrome, it's very useful to use silicone tool to make your chrome shiny by rubbing over it again. And it will make sure that your surface are mirroring. Down here too. And then I would like to take a clean shadow applicator and go over it to make sure that I pick up any excess dirt that are on the surface, so your chrome is not glittery when you apply top coat. And then dust one more time, and you are complete with this step. So I would like to do the same thing on here. Do this now. And then use a silicone tool to rub it on. And it's very hard to see with solid chrome the difference. But when I use a see-through chrome, if I'm not doing this, if I look really, really close, there will be a tiny little hole on the chrome surface that haven't been covered. But when I doing this, the surface become seamless and mirrory. So that's why I suggest to do this step. It's very helpful with your chrome. It's make your work have more quality in it. Go over with a clean shadow applicators, and then dust everything out. Now, I would like to do some pigment, another bit of pigment work like this. I like to paint this sun. So when it comes to pigment isolation, besides no wipe, Teflon matte can also isolate pigment too. Not 100%, but it doesn't absorb pigment like matte top coat. Teflon matte is resistant. So it already have Teflon matte on the background. I am gonna go ahead and take pigment base and paint it a circle right in for the sun. Put a little bit of pigment base out on a palette. And the brush I will use, I don't like to use a liner brush. So let's use a coloring brush built just like an emboss brush, but shorter. Now, take this out. And the sun can be wherever you want. Let's go ahead and paint the sun on here. See, this brush has a thicker body, so it's easier for you to paint, especially a circle. Okay, make sure that that circle are nice and smooth before you cure, so your pigment can be nice and smooth. Now go ahead and cure this. So for pigments, I would like to use this orange and this yellow for pigments. Or if you want it to be brightest, you can use a neon. You can use this orange and this yellow. It's all up to you. And there is a difference. The primary is different than the neon. So I'm gonna use the neon for you. And I also will take our darker colors just to make the sun more dramatic. Take out my pigment brush, make sure it's clean. Put our paper towels. And go ahead and take the darker color, smudge it in. Knock up excess dust. And going in just on the edge with some coral right on the edge. See that? And the reason why it's stick only on the edge and not the entire circle, because when I blend, I don't run. I don't keep running like this. I just stay in one spot. So that will give you this result. And then with a similar color, now these come to the different part of cleaning. I don't need to dip in acetone because these colors are very harmonious. So harmonious color, I can just stroke it on the paper towel, just a little bit like this, and take in orange, smudge it, rock from side to side, knock up excess dust, and go in immediately. Let me zoom in so you can see. And then again, go on with yellow. And you're done with the sun. Now, take the fluffy and clean this. As you can see here, anything that stick onto the cloud and underneath is gone. There might be a little stain. That's why I say Teflon matte is not 100%. But for a minor detail like this, it's not quite as important. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these back together. And we will talk about how to top coat this. Okay, so when it comes to top coat, there is a couple of ways to top coat. When I do in chrome design, I instinctively want to top coat the chrome immediately. You know, when I'm putting on Teflon matte, everything is covered, everything is sealed. There's just a chrome line left. I want to go on it with top coat right away, and you can do that, but you have to be careful with that step, and I will show you why. Let me clean out the table here. Okay, now I am going to take our surface, make sure that that's clean. So let's pretend like this surface is a Teflon matte surface. You already have matte on. So let's take out a tool like this. Okay, so let's pretend like this is a chrome lines right onto the surface of Teflon matte. And so I draw a black line right on and I chrome it already. It's already have chrome on. So let's say if I am going to top coat this, a lot of people would just paint a little bit of top coat on just a line. Okay, on just a chrome line. Like this. They would take out the top coat and they would just trace on the chrome line like that. Now, you have to be aware that the chrome is laid onto the gel. Now, if the top coat is laid onto the chrome, when your client come home, the top coat and the chrome would chip. And all you have left is a black line. That's it. And why is that happen? Because when you top coat, you only stay within the perimeter of the line. And it's just laying on there, so it's gonna chip. So if you want to top coat the chrome line, you have to go out of line a little bit. Onto the left, onto the right. And the reason why you go out of line, so the top coat now adheres to the surface, which is Teflon matte. And that is a gel surface. So top coat and Teflon matte stick together. And it protect whatever in here. But if you don't do that, if you don't go out of line, then the top coat will just stay on the chrome. And chrome is powder. So it's not a gel. So it's not going to adhere onto the chrome itself. It's just laying on the chrome. So make sure if you top coat just the chrome line, you have to go out of line. That is the first way of top coating. The second way of top coating is to matte everything. Matte the entire surface with the line and everything. Then after everything is sealed, then you can go back with top coat and trace on just a line. That would be safer. So I'm going to demonstrate both. First sealing technique and second sealing technique for you. But I have to do this so you can understand visually of what I'm talking about. And it's very important because it will prevent your chrome from chipping. So let's take out some top coat and apply onto the surface right here. And I will use the coloring brush for this. Make sure I clean this. Now, why do I use a coloring brush? Because if I were to use a 10 millimeter liner, let me find the 10 millimeter liners. Okay, let me clean this. Okay, so let me zoom into, if I use a 10 millimeter liner, you see this is for line. And for lining, of course, it doesn't really use for polish because polish is not used for line work. Polish and top coat are cell level. So it's used for fill in a line. You have to use a painting gel like this. for line. So it's a thicker gels, right? That's how it's built. So when it comes to a liquidy top coat like this, it couldn't soak a lot of top coat into its body because its body only built for line. So now if you use a lot of top coat, then it's gonna try to drip on you. And if you use too little amount of top coat, then when it comes to filling like this, it's gonna be challenging for you because you have to like paint on it over and over, and you don't want it to take a lot of top coat for it to drip, because then it's gonna drip everywhere. So when it comes to things like this, I use a coloring brush, because the coloring brush, the way it's built, it soaks into the top coat and it hold a lot of top coat all at once. So when it comes to fill in, trace in the line with top coat, it is so easy with the coloring brush. So I'm gonna soak it in. So now, see, it's not dripping on me, but it can hold a lot of top coat at once. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna start tracing, and I'm gonna zoom really close so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, now I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start tracing it with top coat, and that you can see I'm going out of line just a little bit. See, just a tiny bit. Not much, but enough to keep my chrome there and keep it from chipping. See, just out of line, just a tiny bit, not much. And I'm gonna go really big so you can see if go out of line a lot. What that mean? That means this. See, you can see the top coat. That's more top coat on each side. That's a lot. For people that are not very good with precision, this is what's gonna happen versus this. It's nice and thin. So when you choose to seal it that way, you have to be skillful with your brush. If not, the design not gonna be look as attractive. So that's sealing number 1. Here, 60 seconds. Now, let me go through something easier for you. Sealing number 2 is to take the surface and completely cover it. You can use Teflon mat or you can use matted, whichever mat you like, and you're gonna run all over the surface like this. Over the tree, over the design, over everything. Here. 60 seconds here still. Okay. Now, after you cure, that is when you can go and trace the chrome back. And when you're doing this, you see, don't be afraid of putting matte on, because Vo.Tino chrome are extremely high quality. Even on matte, it still look beautiful. It still looks shiny, and it's not gonna bleed. So if you use any chrome that if you apply top coat on and it's bleed on you and it become glittery, then remember that chrome is not a small particle chrome. The particle is way too big for that chrome, so it's impossible to have a nice shiny surface. So now I'm gonna go back and trace with top coat, and you might notice that I doing it faster than before, because right now I'm not sealing this. I already sealed it with matte. So now I'm just tracing it to make it shiny. So when you do that, you don't have to try and to make sure that the top coat is completely cover the edge. You can have a little bit of edge like this, a little bit of edge that are still matte. You can have that. Nobody gonna see it. They're gonna see a shiny chrome line. So with this process, I prefer to do it like this, because now it's easy for me to just put shine on. And everything is matte, so I know immediately which part is already shiny, which part not. Versus when I do this, the chrome is shiny, so when I trace top coat on a chrome line, I have to pay attention, or else I might forget which part I already top coat and seal and which part not. So this is a harder way for professional, and this is an easy way for beginners. Go ahead and cure both. Then we have one last final step, and it's the most important step of them all. And it will give me a chance to tell you about this product. This is called texture gel, and unlike clear texture gel, this one have color, is completely white. But it's not like one stroke liner or polish where you have to apply it thin for it to cure correctly. This you can go a little bit thicker. Not too thick, but a little bit thicker to what is embossed looking. And let me take out my 7mm liner details. I will use this brush for this technique because the design, the pattern are very small. But I want you to see this. I want you to see two of this design. It's beautiful, isn't it? But when you see this, it's more beautiful. It's more beautiful because I incorporate white texture gel on it, and you can see the difference. And that, something minor like that, can very quickly elevate your design and make it expensive looking. Because this is beautiful, but the design is still flat. If you've seen this by itself, then by all means it's gorgeous. But if you've seen this next to it, this is more gorgeous now because it's more pop. So that's why I already top coat everything, and I use white texture gel because this texture gel, it doesn't need any top coat. So what I like to do is I like to take out a little bit of white texture gels. I like to put on the surface of this. I'm closing the lid and put it right here so you can see the name of these gels. Now I'm zooming in and have my 7mm liner details. I'm first stroking my 7mm detail, rocking from side to side to fully saturate the brush, and then I stroke it out to make the detail thinness, like that. But the way I take the gel is I whip a little bit of gel in just the tip of my brush. Why? Because when I apply it, all the gel is gone. So when it's all gone, it's easier for me to make the inside really pointy and thin. That has to do with pressure. You see, when you want everything to be pointy, you lift your brush and touch just the tip of your brush and you run. If you want a lot of pressure, then you apply a lot of pressure on your brush so it's laying down like this and you run. So what I'm doing is having just a little bit of gel onto the tip of my brush, apply pressure, and then slowly lift my brush as I go in. So my pressure can be nice and light, and it will give you this feather pattern right here. And if you want the feather to be pointy at the other end, you clean this, and then you go back in with a clean brush, nice and pointy, and then you drag it out. So that will give you like a leaf shape pattern right here. So we're gonna use that technique and strategy to dress up our crane to make it more special. And I use a 7mm liner detail because the line and detail are very thin. But normally on a bigger design, I would either use a 10mm liner details, 10mm liner, or I use an embossed brush if it's really, really big. Now I go in, dress up this wing. This will easily transform a $20 design into a $30 design, or maybe $40. Maybe you can double it. And then remember, I don't want to go in this direction, so I turn my client hand around and I go in the opposite direction, which is easier for me. Now, cure this. And that is the end of our lesson. And I want to recap for you guys of this design of how if you were to watch from the beginning, remember the beginning, it looked awful. It looked like a white blob, and then it looked like a white blob with a little bit of feather, and then it looked like a white blob with feather and little eyes. It's hideous, but you see, if you follow the step correctly, you will end up with amazing piece of art. And these detail, tiny little detail, are not difficult. The most difficult part is keeping your faith from the time you start to the end, and with that faith, with knowing exactly where your step is, what you need to use, the product, the material, the brushes. It doesn't take a professional to make a beautiful crane design like this. It's only, if you're a beginner, you can also accomplish something like this, but you have to obey all the rules. Now, before we end, I want to show you a little bit of these unique design right here. These are beads that I use to make little flower or little stem. I'm not sure, but it's very interesting. And if you want to do something like this, first you need beads. I'm gonna take out some beads. Let's use some gold beads. I have these included all sizes for use. Again, on Tinovo shop, and it's in the accessory, decorative accessory category. I also have small bead on different size because people use a lot of small bead. So if you ran out of this, you can buy 08 millimeters or even smaller 06 millimeter. It's up to you. Now, when it comes to beads, a lot of people are struggling with bead on application because when it comes to bead, a lot of people use builder gels. And when you use builder gel to apply bead, or even top coat to apply bead, it's gonna slip everywhere because it's cell level. So let me take this and let me apply some top coat onto this palette. The top coat acts way faster. See, a lot of people use top coat and then they would take bead and apply it on. Okay, so let's say if a person use it to make like a line, okay. First of all is anything that is cell level will be very easy for you to push it around and ruin your line. And sometimes it slip on you like this, it's sliding off. So you have to go back and readjust and keep on readjusting, and it's just very irritating. And it seems to be very challenging to have bead design as it is cell level. Cell level means it's smooth out by itself, and it's important for you to do, for you to build a gel or polish a nail, you need it to be cell level. But for a bead like this, it needs to be non-cell level. So the gel that I use to prevent the sliding problem from happening is clear texture gel. Clear texture gel is way opposite than builder gel. It is non-cell level. It is amazing for bead or design like a seashell embossed design. It's also amazing for it because it doesn't run, it doesn't blend, it stays still. So I can take this and I can take an emboss brush. I can dip it in and let's draw out a few stems. Yeah. Okay. And then I would take a liner brush, 10 millimeter liners. I would dip into these gels and I will remove. And the reason is I want gel to be on there. I just don't want a lot of gel to be on there. So it will be easier for me to pick up gel, pick up bead and release bead. If you have a lot of gel, then your bead will have a difficult time to release it on the surface. So I am going with one bead, apply right here, another big one apply right here, and another big one apply right here, and go in with a smaller one maybe 2 smaller ones. And then I need the smallest bead. So let's take out my smallest. And you see here where some beads are stuck in onto the jar, because when I first started out, I dipped this brush into the jar. So this is what happened when you have gel residue that's stuck in the jar. So now I have a much better way. I take out a paper towel, just a little bit, and put it right here. And then pour my bead out. So now it doesn't matter if my brush is stuck to the paper towel, because I'm gonna get rid of the paper towel after I'm done. I can now start filling in to this small detail right here. See, all these little steps right here are built for you to be comfortable with bead. It's not intimidating if you know all the steps. See that? Now, I just want to shake it up for you, just for you to see how well clear texture gel is. See, if I turn my hand upside down, see the bead is still the same. If I shake it, see the pattern is still the same. Because this gel, what it does is that it keeps everything stay still in one place until you're done, and then you cure. So that is an amazing gel for bead and for most embossed design. Now, after I'm done, I can either pour this back in or pour this back into the lid, so it's easier. And then pour this back into the jar. So that is another step that keep it nice and loose for you. Because you don't want bead to stuck together. Sometimes you only need one bead and you pick up 2 beads that are stuck together. You have to stop and try to separate them. You don't want that. You want all the beads to be nice and loose. So let's put everything back. Now come to sealing it. It's also another story about sealing it is when you seal, you have to make sure the top coat, and yes, I did use top coat to seal this. You have to make sure the top coat are coated on the entire bead. And how you do that is you start out with the top coat, and of course, using the coloring brush to do that. You soak into top coat and you lay it right on the top of the bead like this. Just on top, you don't apply pressure. Because if you press, top coat gonna run all over the background and everything. It's gonna be unattractive. So you just apply right on the top and you wait, and it will drip down. And when it's dripped down, you can go ahead and cure. Because after a while, gravity will take over and will drip down on the side of the bead and coated the entire lines. See? I zoom in so you can see that it's coated. So that is how you coat bead and make sure that it lasts forever. And bead are very easily to seal, better than, it's easier than crystal when it comes to sealing. Again, just go on top like this, just go right on top. Not too much gel. If you have too much gel, then it's gonna really flood at the background. So you just want a little bit, and it's gonna drip down to the surface. And then if you want, you can go on it again, double doing it, so the design can be nice and even, but it can be nice and sealed also, so it doesn't come up on you. So that's 2 ways of doing it. Putting a lot on, then you only need to do it once, but your design can be flooded like this. Where you doing it less, then your design will be less flooded. So, but you have to do it 1 or twice just to make sure that everything is nice and sealed. And that is how you seal your bead. And that is how you accomplish this beautiful design pattern right here. And you can use that to make the entire set. And remember, this is something that even beginners are well capable of it. But you have to obey all the steps to accomplish this. And you obey all the steps to train yourself and to become an amazing nail artist. And that is the end of our lesson. Don't forget to subscribe us on YouTube at Tino Vo, and our product are available at www.tinovo.shop. Until next time, bye bye everyone.